Welcome my dear learners. I am Dr. Rasmeet Kaur Malhi, Assistant Professor, Department of Management from the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. In the previous module of training from the subject Human Resource Management, we have talked about what is the meaning of training, need, importance of training. And in this module, we will be talking about the different methods of training. In this video, we will be specifically talking about on-the-job training methods, and in the next video, we will be discussing about what are the different off-the-job training methods. So let's begin with on-the-job training methods. So dear learners, before we move on to what are the different methods of training, let us understand what does this word training method refers to. Training method basically refers to a way or technique which is used for improving the knowledge and skill of an employee so that he can do the work which is assigned to him or her in a perfect manner. Now, how do you decide the training method? So the organization has to consider few of the important factors such as what is the nature of the job, what is size of the organization, what is the size of workers in the organization, types of work or types of workers, and as per that the training method is decided. Now let us move on to what is the classification of training methods. The training methods can be broadly classified as on-the-job training method and off-the-job training methods. Let us begin with the first one, that is the on-the-job training methods. On-the-job training methods, which we also call as the job instruction training, that is JIT. These are those methods which are used in the training in which the trainee is placed on a specific job and he or she is taught the skills and knowledge which are necessary for him to perform. The advantages of having on-the-job training method in the organization are that this method is very flexible. This is less expensive as compared to the other, that is off-the-job training method. When we talk about on-the-job training method, the trainee is highly motivated and encouraged to learn because he is learning along with the work which he is performing in the organization. And the last would be that these arrangements for training this particular method, it is very convenient and not too many arrangements are required. Now to list a few of the on-the-job training methods, the first one is apprenticeship method or apprenticeship program. Second is a job instruction training, which is also known as JIT. The third one is planned progression. This is also one of the very common on-the-job training methods which is used in the organization. Fourth could be the job rotation. Banks are the best example of job rotation when we talk about on-the-job training methods. And the last one is coaching. So we will be doing one by one each of them. Let's begin with the first one, that is the apprenticeship programs. Talking about these apprenticeship programs, this is basically given to those people who enter the skill trades or basically those who perform the skill trades, such as when I take example of the plumbers, the electricians, or maybe the iron workers. They are basically required these kind of or are given these kind of training programs. When you talk about the period of apprenticeship training programs which is given to the employee, usually it is from the period of 2 to maximum of 5 years of period. In this period, basically the trainee is paid less than the qualified worker in the organization, and these programs are basically to put the trainee under the guidance of a mentor worker. Now let us discuss about the second kind of on-the-job training program, which is job instruction training, which is commonly known as JIT. What is this JIT if I talk about? So it consists of basically 4 steps. The first one being that you prepare the trainees by telling them about the job and the overcoming their uncertainties, their problems. So you give them instructions for how they have to perform a particular work. In this, you basically present the instructions, give them essential information in a very clear and a prescribed manner. In JITs, you basically have the trainees to try out the job either in the form of demonstrations, or you demonstrate their understanding and make them more clear with that particular training which has to be given to them. In JIT, the employee or the worker is placed into the job on their own with a designated resource person who is basically ready to provide the required assistance. Now let's move on to the third type of on-the-job training program, which is known as planned progressions. These planned progression is basically a technique which is used to give employees a clear idea of their path of development, and they know that where they stand and where they are going. So basically it draws a kind of a career path for them, that what they need to do in that particular period of time which is expected from them in the organization. So they must know the requirement for advancement and also the means of achieving it. How are they going to achieve that particular thing in that particular period of time? So further, when we talk about these planned progressions, basically this method is utilized at all different ways so that the employees can be trained and developed, and they can know what are the series of job which is required for them to gain knowledge and skill which will be required at a higher level. Talking about the fourth type of on-the-job training method is job rotation. What is the meaning of this word job rotation if I say? So it basically means a kind of a periodical movement or the movement of people from one job to the another. As I just said, that banks are the best example when you talk about job rotation which is practiced very regularly. The purpose of job rotation is basically to broaden the knowledge of the managers and the potential managers, that means the upcoming managers, those who are there. It increases their experiences, give them the training and make them learn different functions of the job by rotating them at different positions. This particular training method involves movement of trainee, and that movement of trainee is basically from one job to the other so that they can gain knowledge and expertise from different job assignments. This method helps the trainee to understand the problems which are faced by the other employees in the organization. Now, if I talk about that, what are those jobs or what are those things on which they rotate or they may rotate through? So it can be non-supervisory work, it can be the observation assignments, it can be various managerial training positions, and also at times the middle level assistant positions on which these workers are rotated on a regular basis. Now, these movements which are done, they basically prevents stagnation in the organization. The other reasons of job rotation is basically that they include that the compensation for a labor shortage, safety, and it also prevents fatigue in the organization. Now, moving on to the last method of on-the-job training, that is coaching. When we talk about these trainings which are given, it is a never-ending process. So when you talk about coaching, I can say that trainee is basically placed under a particular supervisor who functions as a coach in a training which is given or assigned to him. And he tries to give feedback to the trainee that about his or her performance, how is he or she working, what are those areas of improvement where he needs certain things to be improved, or what are those areas where he is not working up to the mark. These sometimes the trainee may get an opportunity to also express his ideas where he is finding difficult, what are those things which he feels that he is not able to perform in a proper manner. A very good example of on-the-job training, if I say, is a kind of the athletic coaching which is given to the athletes. When you talk about these kind of coachings which are given, it is to make them effective. It is the responsibility of every line manager that they need to see that the coach which is assigned to the employee is of that caliber, that they are in a position to guide the employees or guide the subordinates. This must be done in a climate where we say that confidence and trust between the superior and trainee is very, very important when you talk about a coaching method to be followed or to be used in the organization. So, patience and wisdom are required of the supervisors who must be able to actually delegate the work or authority and give proper recognition and praise for the jobs well done by the employees in the organization. If we talk about the effectiveness of coaching, it will develop strength and potentials of the subordinates and help them to overcome their weakness if done in a proper manner. Coachings also are said to be that they require a lot of time, but if this time is well invested, it will save the time and money of the organization and will prevent the cost which is usually on the mistakes which are done by the subordinates. So thus, in totality, we can conclude that in the longer run, when you say, coaching is very beneficial for the superior, the subordinates, and for the enterprise. So with this, we conclude what are the different on-the-job training methods. In the next module, we will be continuing with what are the off-the-job training methods. Thank you for watching this video.